They told me to shut down my home business. So I made it their biggest sponsor. It all started when I lost my office job during the pandemic. Like a lot of people, I needed to find a new way to make ends meet. Baking had always been my therapy, so I started selling cookies and cupcakes to friends and neighbors. It began small, weekend orders, birthday treats, and a few custom cakes. Everyone loved it. The smell of fresh cookies would drift through the street, and kids would run up asking if the cookie lady had any extras. Within a few months, Sweet Haven Bakery was officially registered as a home cottage business, fully legal under state law. Clean kitchen, zero noise, and the neighbors were happy. Everyone, except the HOA. One Monday morning, I found a letter taped to my door. Notice of violation. Unauthorized commercial activity within the community. Cease operations immediately. Apparently the HOA didn't appreciate the smell of sugar and butter. I emailed the president, explaining that my business was state-approved and operated completely within local legal guidelines. She replied within an hour. Our rules prohibit all forms of commerce from private homes. You must comply. A week later, a $500 fine arrived in my mailbox for violating community uniformity. I was furious. I wasn't running a factory, just baking cookies. So I did what any baker with a backbone would do. I started cooking up a plan. I found out the HOA was struggling to fund their upcoming Community Spring Fair, their biggest annual event. They needed sponsors to cover the cost of food, tents, and decorations. So I reached out, not as a resident, but as a business owner. I offered to sponsor the entire fair in exchange for a booth and promotional banners. The event coordinator, not realizing who I was, said yes immediately. I paid the sponsorship fee legally, through my registered business. Fast forward a few weeks to the day of the fair. Colorful banners hung from every tent, reading, "Sponsored by Sweet Haven Bakery." My booth was packed. Smiling kids, happy parents, and a line that stretched halfway down the block. Even the local newspaper showed up for photos. And right in the middle of the crowd was the HOA president, frozen, glaring at my logo printed across every single banner in the park. She tried to argue, saying my presence was unauthorized, but the event coordinator reminded her that Sweet Haven Bakery was an official paid sponsor. Kicking me out would breach the HOA's own vendor contract. She had no choice but to smile for the cameras, standing right next to me while holding one of my cookies. The next month, the HOA quietly updated their bylaws to allow small, non-disruptive home businesses. The president resigned shortly after. And me, business is booming. Now, every time the HOA hosts a community event, they call me first, not to complain, but to cater. So yeah, they tried to shut me down. But in the end, I got the last laugh and the last batch of cookies.